it's 2 o'clock. I think it's 2 o'clock. Hi, guys.
Hi.
Hi. So, I know it's moving around a little bit. I'll try and hold the camera still. I'm Liz.
I'm Jeff.
This is Dr. Jeff. This is my hubby. I coerced him to come and do Facebook Live because he has such great information about what's going on right now and about the lungs and all that great stuff. Hey, Shauna, Monica, if you guys can hear me, just let me know that you're here by give me like a thumbs up or just make a comment or something so I know that I'm coming through okay. I want to make sure everybody can hear me. And hi, there's Tanya Lombardi. We know Tanya, don't we?
Yes, we do.
Yes, we do. Hey, Tanya. Oh, today is Tuesday, March 24th, and we are coming to you from beautiful sunny Scottsdale, Arizona. And there's been all kinds of great information out there. Hi, Liz. Hi, Jeff. You guys are so cute. We're so cute.
Okay.
Poor Jeff. You can see like I'm the kind of the crazy one in the relationship, and he's more of like the solid, quiet, the strong, silent type with lots of wisdom, with lots of great wisdom. Okay, you guys can hear me. Hi, Dr. Donahue and Liz. Christiane says hi. Tanya says hi.
Okay.
Shauna says hi. Monica says hi.
Okay.
And Terry's here. Okay, so, and I think Diane is here because I just saw a picture of Bailey with a thumbs up. So that's great too. I know that there's been a lot of conversation about what this whole energy is all about. And what it means, even the physical, for this coming to the lungs. And Jeff has a lot of great information about that. So let me just share with you, like, who Jeff is, what he does. So my husband he's a licensed chiropractor. He has his license in chiropractic, his doctorate. He's also an acupuncturist. He's also a nutritionist. He's also an exercise physiologist. And he's been in practice for 30 years as of this year. I married an old man, huh? So he's been in practice for 30 years, and he practices here in Scottsdale, Arizona. And what I love about Jeff is that he's got an amazing overview of the body. He's got an amazing overview of how the body functions, of not just the physical aspects of the body, but what the emotional components are of when we do come into, as he would say, dis-ease or discomfort or something is out of balance in our bodies. He's got a beautiful perspective on that. So I love his perspective on what's going on right now in terms of where in the body it seems to be affecting. So I'm gonna just have him take over and just start talking, and let me see if if you have any questions, make sure and post the questions and I'll scroll through them and take a look at them. And hey, Barbara, Felicia, Judith, Katie Coons, Michelle is here, and Carolyn and Dawn and Maria. Hey, everybody. Okay, so I'm going to just have Jeff start talking, and I'm going to ask a few questions, but do you want to hold it? Or you want me to hold it?
I can hold it.
Okay, there you go.
Actually, that's probably not a very good idea.
Okay.
I talk with my hands.
So everybody, this is my husband, Dr. Jeff Donahue. And so one of the things that we're noticing with coronavirus, with the COVID-19, is that it's affecting, here, scoot over just a little bit, because now the sun is creeping in on us. We're sitting by a window in our house.
Okay, good.
So we're seeing that it's affecting our lungs. And so in your experience and all the things that you've been studying, what are the lungs all about?
Well, a lot of people have been mentioning grief going on these days. There's a lot of collective grief. I think we're grieving over the process that things are not going to be the same like they used to be, and we're adapting to a new and different world, and trying to figure out how to navigate through all of that stuff. So, there's been talk of a collective grief, and I find that very interesting. As a clinician. I practice a style of acupuncture called the 5-element, and that counts for the 5 elements: fire, earth, metal, water, and wood. And the lung and the large intestine comprise the metal element. And for each of the elements, there is a physical component, and a energetic component or an emotional component and a biochemical component. So the element which comprises both the lung channel and the large intestine channel, the emotion that's tied with that is grief. So when we talk about this process going on, and people have this collective grief, it's interesting because that's what this disease affects. It affects the lungs, the yin part of the metal element. The other part of that element is the large intestine. That's the yang part of that. An element consists of both a yin and a yang component. That's what makes an element, and the two balance one another. So lung and large intestine work in concert with one another. So, when you think about lung, it's a tough organ to directly affect, with the exception of our breathing, of course, and how we breathe. And of course, these days you want to breathe correctly, and that means number one is to learn to use your diaphragm. And if you didn't know it, that's your main breathing muscle. It's located at the bottom of the rib cage, and it comprises almost like a bellows pump. And as it contracts, it draws down, which allows air to come into the lungs. That's your main breathing muscle. Your secondary breathing muscles are your upper trapezius. These muscles up through here, those are your secondary breathing muscles. Because a lot of us sit for a living, we tend to put a lot of pressure around our midsections, and that limits the amount of diaphragm work that we can actually get accomplished, because our diaphragm doesn't have that much room to move because we're sitting and compressing it. And so we tend to breathe more from our secondary breathing muscles. We get a lot of this action going on. We get a lot of movement through our upper trapezius and our shoulders in order to bring breath in and out. And if you want to really make sure that your lungs are in decent shape, you want to be working your diaphragm as well and making sure that's working fully.
So I have a question for you.
Please.
So, and hello, Robin Wilson, I see you. And Dr. Jeff. Robin's there.
Hey, Robin.
Okay, so when we're talking about lungs, and you said the lung channel is directly correlated to grief.
Yes, that's the emotion that's associated with the metal element of the grief.
So just from an emotional standpoint, not from physical, what's something that we can do is just acknowledge our grief and express it. And
yes, so acupuncture is probably closest. It's closest. In my practice, I talk about the three dimensions: the physical, the biochemical, or the metabolic, and the emotional or energetic. And these three dimensions are always constantly interrelated. But acupuncture, the practice of acupuncture, probably most directly relates to the emotional, the energetic component, because it's based on this energetic system throughout the whole body. And so, when you talked about,
grief and sadness, like what's something that we can do, to support ourselves spiritually, emotional, right?
Yes, thank you. So issues arise in terms of acupuncture, and issues within acupuncture is things get stuck, things don't move the way they're supposed to. And the whole idea of acupuncture is it improves how those channels, or these energy channels that run through our body, how those things move. And so stuck emotions, or an inability to feel an emotion, or an inability to acknowledge an emotion, is an important piece of trying to clear that out. If you don't know that if you're angry or you're sad or you're grieving, it's tough to move past it and understand that that's part of the whole system is to feel these emotions and to process that. Acupuncture helps that. By using these points, we're actually able to help. You don't change the emotion, you don't change the feeling of it. It just changes how the body processes that and moves through that.
Okay. And we're going to show everybody where those points are.
We're going to show.
You want to go into the gym and do that?
We're going to show. So everybody, here's the deal. We talk about generalities, and that's exactly what we're going to be talking about today. Is generalities. The reality is that everybody is individual, and everybody has specific needs based on their individuality. So, when you hear about common remedies and a lot of stuff, you're going to hear a lot of stuff these days about what you should be taking or shouldn't be taking. It may or may not be the right thing for you, especially in the amounts that people suggest. So just be aware of any suggestion, including mine. Check them out. We'll check you out with your own healthcare provider. Please, this is these are things that I do for myself and for my clients.
And for his wife too.
For my wife, for my family, of course.
Exactly.
Of course.
Do you want to go into the gym and we can show where the points are? You want to do that?
Sure. I can. Yeah, so I'll show you some more of the physical. Yeah, some of the physical stuff.
Okay, let's do that.
Okay.
We're moving. We're on the move. We're going into. We have an exit. We call it the gym, but it's really just a room that we turned into an exercise room. And what Jeff is going to show you now are some movements that you can do. He'll explain it to you, but also maybe show the lung channel on me, so people can see it. Okay, so I'm going to turn the screen around, so it's going to be on you. Where do you want to be?
Okay, I'm going to start, probably come through the door this way.
Okay, so do you want me to?
You can focus on me.
Okay, here we go.
All right, so I'm just putting stuff down. Welcome to my somewhat messy exercise area. Okay, so what we want to know is that first and foremost is what's called the lung alarm point. And these are alarm points, or points located along energy channels that, if tender, can indicate there could be problems through here. Now, the lung alarm point is almost always tender for most people because we sit for a living. We sit with our shoulders rounded forward. The lung alarm point is located right here, in that little indentation between where the pec comes in and the shoulders come in here. If you dig in there, you're going to find some really tender spots into there. That's the lung alarm point. The lung alarm point, not only is it good if it's tender, it indicates some tension around that area, some stress around that area. It's also a great way to start taking care of that, is to start digging in and massaging that point and getting it to relax and release a little bit. And especially in combination with the things I'm about to show you.
And the aromatherapy, can we put some?
Sure, that's one of the things you can use, and one of the things I like to use, and Liz and I do. We put the essential oils on those points. That's a great way to continue stimulation after you take your hands off.
We use eucalyptus, and we also use peppermint oil. And Jeff's hands are a lot stronger than mine, so whenever he's treating me, he does kind of dig into those points. And I ordinarily have challenges. I had lung chest surgery when I was a kid, so I'm going to turn it around so I can explain.
Yes.
So I had some chest and lung issues when I was a kid and had surgery. So that's like an area for me that does get tied up. So he'll go into these points, like right here. Okay, I don't know if you can see, right here. And he'll massage into those points, and I'm screaming at this point, right? I'm just kidding.
So
okay.
I'm coming behind Liz now. And so I'm just going to dig in. So I'm kind of bracing myself behind her with my one hand. And I'm kind of finding that depression. I'm going to start going in there, and it doesn't take long before her face will change, which means that, hey, I found that point. And so gently work it. You don't have to go beat the crud out of your partner or recipient. You just got to want to stimulate that, hold that point, hold some energy, put some love into that point, let it relax,
And it activates for me. It does activate.
Yeah,
like sadness.
That's not unusual because it's a powerful point. And to hit this point, it's not unusual for people to start having emotions at this thing. And that means that those emotions are there. You're feeling those emotions. And right these days, I would be surprised if anybody wasn't tender there, quite frankly. So let me show you how to stretch these points out. So maybe you can stimulate before and after. That's great. But let's look at how we open up our chest. This is the first time today that I'm working to stretch my chest today, so I'm going to be a little tight to begin with. So I'm going to work through it just like I hope you guys would.
And this is ouch, exactly. This is great for your lungs and great for your chest area. Oh, this is one of my favorites.
Okay, so this is the doorway stretch. I start with making sure my hand is and my arm is up at least. I want to make sure my elbow is at least as high as my shoulder. And again, this is what I do. I'm going to show you what I do. If you have any discomfort, any pain, you need to talk to a professional about that. Some of these things can be are quite strenuous. That's the way I like to do it. All right?
Can you speak up a little bit? They can't hear you.
Okay. So I'm going to show you my normal stretch routine, and I'm going to show you some modified stretch routines in case.
Slow down just a little bit too.
Okay. I need you to speak up, and I need you to slow down.
Exactly.
So I'm going to show you a couple of my normal. I'm going to show you my normal stretch routine, and I'm going to show you some modified stretching routines in case you cannot do this, because you should not do this if you have any discomfort at all. Okay, these are deep stretches, but people always ask me, what do I do? So this is a doorway stretch. Elbows up at least as high as the shoulder. I want to catch my hand, my forearm, and my elbow right at the edge of the door frame. 1 foot forward, 1 foot goes forward, 1 foot goes back. I'm just more comfortable in a throwing stance. That's why I like this position. And it's an opportunity for me to work a couple different stretches. So I get my calf to be stretched in this position. But I want to turn my hips. I want to stick my chest out, and I want to basically move my body through the door frame. And I try to breathe through my diaphragm. I'm also squeezing a little bit between my shoulder blades to get a maximum stretch to get my chest muscles to release.
Can you all hear that? Can everybody hear him? His back leg is straight. His arm, and maybe I should go on the other side. I'm gonna take this from different
I'm gonna turn it around
angles.
just a second to do the other side, so you're gonna be able to see what it looks like from the. So that's the one side. I typically hold this. I start with 20 seconds, but I generally go up to about 40 seconds because I do it a total of generally 2 to 3 times on both sides that I do this.
Yeah, this exercise is unreal. This helps me tremendously after he's worked on me.
Okay, so here I am. Elbows at least as high as the shoulder.
Elbow is at least as high as the shoulder.
1 foot forward, 1 foot back.
1 foot forward, 1 foot back.
I'm going to kind of drop into it, so I'm going to get a stretch in my calves as I'm doing this.
And you want to make sure that hip is turned, so you're not turning to the right. So he's doing his right shoulder, and his right hip is not turned toward the right, but it's turned a little bit more to the left, so you're not cheating.
Yeah, I'm trying to turn inward toward the opposite side, really. I'm squeezing between the shoulder blades. I'm breathing with the diaphragm.
Yeah, this is an amazing stretch. This really is. This opens me up and helps me because I have a tendency to get tight in the lung area. So
this is a very deep stretch. If you're unable to do that, what I suggest is a modification, very easy to do. We don't have any towels.
Do you want to go grab a towel? I'll entertain. Do you need a yoga mat? There's a yoga mat.
No, I'll be right back.
Okay. Well, he's going to get a towel. Be gentle with yourself, but where you're going to feel it is all across here when you open yourself up. And it's completely amazing what happens after you do that. At least for me, my breath feels so full. And I do breathe through my chest at times. I do diaphragmatic and I do chest breathing because that's what I have to do to keep this area open for myself. Okay, he's ready with the towel. Okay.
Okay, so again, those are very deep stretches, and you should always go gently with these stretches. You want to do it at least twice on both sides, but preferably 3 times, and you want to hold each stretch for about 20 to 30 seconds if you're attempting to try it. If you have any discomfort at all, please don't do it. This is a nice modification for people who do have any pain, and you can't do that position. Because you want to take a towel, you can also grab your hands, but I'm going to use it showing you the towel. Just kind of grab it between the wrists, and see my hands are kind of bent in this position. What I'm going to try to do is straighten out my elbows. You see by doing that, my chest is starting to lift a little bit. I'm going to really try to pull my chest upward, and I'm going to try to squeeze between my shoulder blades. And then if I want to get a little bit more of a stretch, I can move the towel out from here.
And you're breathing deeply while doing this.
You can see my diaphragm moving.
And he's taking deep breaths. He's taking deep breaths. That's beautiful.
Okay, now that's the modified for that's the modification. I 2 other stretches that I do for my chest, which I really like. This one I have 2 versions of. These are called stall bars, and these are my TRX cables. I'm going to take one of these hooks and grab it with my hands on both sides, so you can kind of see behind me.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And so I'm going to walk forward as much as I can. I'm trying to pull my hands together. As I do this, my hands are nice and tight together, which means it's stretching my chest. Oh, I'm pulling. Again, I'm trying to do the same things. I'm trying to lift my chest, breathe my diaphragm, squeeze between my shoulders.
You probably do this if you have access to a gym or TRX straps, or is there any modification you can do at home? Oh my God, no, I've never done this.
That's the second one. Now, if you can't do it, you can't get your hands that tight, and if you have straps, great. Another way of doing it is just to do it, just to grab the straps out here so it's not quite, your hands aren't together, it's quite as tight. And you can stretch like this, and leaning forward, or you just hang. I like to really hang by letting my body totally relax in this position.
Can you guys hear him? You can hear him, okay. I mean, if you have access to equipment like that, that's a great stretch.
Great stretch.
It's a great stretch.
Again, These are really deep stretches for people, but
Oh, she said, okay, so Michelle is saying that one is similar to a yoga move I do on the floor on my side with my arms above me. Love it. What about hands clasps? You know, where
Yes.
we do that in yoga.
so you can do the hands clasp too. That's why when I do this one, I'm holding on with two hands behind me. That's as close as I'm getting to clasp, because for me, that's the biggest stretch. I'm feeling that way across my chest this way. And I like that one right now the best. The last thing I add is a hanging stretch in order to get my latissimus, which is your long muscles here.
And I'm laughing because I cannot do this one.
And so I have a neutral grip here when I do this. I just try to hang, and if I don't have to use my feet, I can just let myself hang in this position with two hands. And just let everything kind of stretch out nice and easy. And I go to one hand and I just kind of let myself sag to one side. And I stretch. This side as well. And again, I'm shortening up these stretches just to show you, but typically I hold for about 30 seconds to 40 seconds. And I try to do it a couple times during my workout. So I start off with those stretches because this is part of my normal routine. I do a few exercises, then I go through another round of stretching.
What about holding, just showing like something if we don't have access to this kind of equipment, hands behind our back stretch, and also the doorway?
The hands behind your back stretch I showed. That's what
The towel one, yeah. Yeah, so if you don't have access to these kinds of equipment,
Yeah.
the doorway is like amazing for me. I love that doorway stretch.
Yeah,
And then the towel stretch.
the towel stretch works really well too. Yeah, these are some of these things are kind of specialized. If you cannot, you can have if you have a partner or somebody who's with you, you can have somebody you can have somebody hold, and you can lean forward to get more of a stretch. During that, it's something you want to try.
Oh, you mean have somebody hold your, okay,
Yes.
okay.
Use that as a partner type of thing. You guys can do it. People can do this as partners. You don't need necessarily specialized equipment. But this stretch primarily is for pecs, the pectoralis muscles. I showed you how to stretch them out this way as well. That's pecs. To stretch the lats, you need more of a hanging stretch. And again, if you don't have a bar to hang on, another way to do this is just to reach up in a doorway as high as you can and try to lean a little bit into it to get that stretch in the lats in this position.
Oh, that's a good one too. We do that too. So here, I'm going to see if I can get that. So you see his feet are angled out from the doorway. I know this isn't the greatest position, guys. And then he stretches. That's how he stretches his lats also. And all this will help with breathing.
Yes, all this because all this stuff, all these muscles, these are called internal rotators. Pectoralis muscles and latissimus muscles, they're internal rotators. They have a tendency to turn our shoulders from a normal position out like this, inward like this. Does it look familiar? Tighten. We do that a lot. Mousing, especially now, Netflix. So everything's down, everything's getting tight in this area. We want to keep our lungs open, especially for respiratory. We want to make sure those respiratory issues, we want to make sure we keep these lungs open and moving. So good idea to keep chest stretched open.
Wonderful. Yay. Okay, so do you guys have any questions? Anybody have any questions about anything you want to ask Jeff? He's here and now he's panting from doing all those stretches. He's breathing. That's good. Getting breathing going, right? And if any of you have access to one of the things that we do that Jeff loves is the far infrared sauna. And we actually have one in our house.
So that's the other piece of it. We talked about a little bit about the energy component, feeling the guilt, feeling the feelings, and feeling them, and not holding on to them, not trying to not feel them, not acknowledge those. We talked about some physical things we can do to open up the lung channel, the lung where the chest muscles come in. That's the lung alarm point. We didn't talk about the biochemical component of too much. Lungs are one of those difficult areas to kind of affect. Unless you're doing aerobic exercise, which I certainly hope that you're doing to some extent. You're walking, you're riding, you're running, whatever you need to do in order to get the lungs working as best as you can. But one of the areas that I feel we have control over is the opposite side, the large intestine. So keeping good care of our large intestine, the foods we eat, making sure we get enough fibers to make sure our bowels move.
Make sure you're pooping.
Yeah, make sure you're pooping regularly, because bowel health is really important. Large intestinal health is very important as far as lung health goes. If you're stuck, one of the things I always use a lot of time for myself, where I do enemas. Liz and I do coffee enemas. We use it as kind of a detoxification.
I can't believe you just told everybody that.
That's what it is.
We do coffee enemas when needed. Yes.
Yeah,
and you can go on YouTube. Actually, there are tutorials about coffee enemas. Wayne Dye used to do coffee enemas every day after he was diagnosed with leukemia.
Yes.
I think that's a little excessive.
Yes.
Yes.
These are things that I use. I'm not advocating anybody else, do these things, but these are things that I use that I've learned through the years that really work well for me. So, again, my opinions, these are, things that I'm doing. Certainly, consider, carefully anything that you choose for your own body, because it is different. And one thing that what I do and what's right for my body isn't necessarily what is right for your body. Respect that. Honor that at this time. Don't get freaked out if you're not doing everything else that everybody else is doing, because chances are you don't need to. So just take good care of yourself. Try not to freak out too much during these weird and changing times. Let the grief come and let the emotions feel. Stretch out your chest, get some exercise, and spread some love.
Oh, I love him. Thank you, honey.
Okay.
Okay, couple of questions. How many times per week a day should you do these exercises?
Oh, well, I typically like to have people, in terms of frequency,
This way, sweetie, it's easier.
in terms of frequency of stretching, I suggest daily. It's if you're sitting for hours at a time at a desk and working from home, then you should be spending some decent time stretching out your chest, maybe a couple times a day. When you think about it, those stretches, if you do them efficiently, my whole series takes me about maybe 10 minutes. And compared to the amount of time I'm hunched over to people working, everything's tightening up through here. That's not a lot of time. So I make sure besides stretching, I make sure I do a lot of exercise to strengthen the muscles that hold my shoulders back and keep my lungs open. So it's a combination of things. Again, these are just generalities and things that I use in my life. So but it's all encompassing. People say, "Oh, it's the first thing I should do," and it's like, well, hopefully you've been living a wellness lifestyle. That's the biggest thing, because we're not
wellness lifestyle.
Yeah, we're not sure about what's going to be happening, and who people are making it or not. But I'm guessing that immune health is a pretty important component of all this, and a wellness lifestyle supports a good immune health. And if you haven't been living one at this point, now is a perfect time to look at some of those habits and things you might want to change and figure out how to do that change.
Yeah.
And we're here to help if there's questions or if you need resources.
Monica asked, where is it? I know you asked on here, Monica, how about a regular sauna instead of infrared?
So yeah, regular saunas work. The principle is the same. It's you want to sweat. In terms of far infrared, what I like about far infrared, because the particular energy of the far infrared, it tends to penetrate 2.5 centimeters down into the skin. I think that's the correct number. But at any rate, it stimulates that deeply. And as a result, you get a decent sweat going at a much lower temperature. So I can sit in there at with a top temperature of 130, 135 degrees and have a full sweat going when, typically at that in a regular sauna, I wouldn't be able to get that. Regular saunas are great, but I wouldn't be able to sit. I can sit sometimes for an hour and 15 minutes in my sauna. I wouldn't be able to hang more than probably 20 or 30 minutes in a regular sauna at 175 or 180.
But if you don't have access to a far infrared, is a regular sauna still good?
Yeah, if you're into regular saunas, absolutely. It's been part of cultures for years. These hot boxes, people have been doing it for a lot of centuries in a lot of different cultures. So there's something to this. Heat's a good part of health.
Yes. Oh, look who's there. Janice is there too.
Nice. Hi, Janice.
Janice, our event coordinator. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
That was excellent. Mwah.
Hope you guys got some benefit.
And we can bring Jeff back in to do a Facebook Live. If any of you have any questions or, want to, have that demonstrated again. I love that chest exercise that he does. It's really, yeah. Let's put it this way. I can absolutely tell when I don't do it. And after he's worked on me, I can really, there's such a difference in working these points, those lung points. You saw what happened when he started to go into those lung points when he was working on me. Immediately, I I had a reaction immediately. I had that sadness, that grief started to come up. And that happens quite often when he works on me in this area, because I know I hold a lot of emotions in this area just from, that's what that somebody once asked me if it was a hickey. No, I had lung surgery when I was a kid. So, what if you don't have access to a sauna? Jeff, what if somebody doesn't have access to a sauna? Just movement?
Well, yes. I mean, so sweating
Movement.
is great.
I'm sorry?
Yeah, so...
Any type of movement, any type of getting your body to sweat?
yes, I mean, get out there and get moving, of course. I mean, if you don't have a sauna, you don't have a sauna. Sweating is good, but I wouldn't, at this point, make sure you don't overdo it in terms of you don't want to stress out your body with exercise. You want to do an appropriate amount of exercise that makes you feel better and helps stimulate.
Did you all hear that? He said you don't want to stress out your body and do an appropriate amount of exercise that works for your body. Pay attention to your body, so you don't want to overdo it if you haven't been exercising. Jeff is really a movement specialist, and he exercises hard and regularly. He's an avid mountain biker, and it's not unusual for him to do, go out and do 20 or 30 miles and hit the mountains and doing his thing. But if that's not what you're accustomed to, if it's hiking or just gentle walking or something like that, that would be more appropriate. You want to work up to that. You want to build that muscle slowly, and also work these points at this time, because this will allow the emotions, this will allow the grief, this will allow us to express whatever's going on for us, the sadness, the grief, the emotions, and it will pass. We know that. It is just temporary. It's just a feeling. But if we let it out of our bodies, we become that much clearer. We just become that much more clear internally, mentally, and emotionally, and spiritually. All right, you guys, this has been really wonderful. I loved all the information he shared, because it so resonates to all the information that I know Greg talked about, that we're going through. Greg Braden talked about, we're going through a sadness and a grief right now. And of course, that's what lungs are all about. If you're just jumping into the Facebook Live, I'm going to close out right now. Hold on, Michelle. Let me get him and ask him that question. Hold on. I can't remember what I was going to say. I got distracted. Jeff, quick question for you. Is the area between the shoulder blades associated with the lungs? That's where I hold my stress.
Yes. So the area between the shoulder blades, remember the body always works in balance. Can you, what? Oh.
Because if I shoot it that way, all they're going to see is...
No, sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm thinking I have the camera on me. So yeah, it's important. The area between your shoulder blades is it's important, and it relates to your lungs, because everything in the body it's always about balance, right? So if you have an issue with the front, you always have to look at the back. How is that influencing what's going on up here? Well, if you have really tight chest muscles, what it happens to do is it changes your posture, right? If you're in this position, if really tight chest muscles has a tendency to want to round the shoulders forward. Look what that does to my mid-back. What that does is it stretches my mid-back muscles out, stretches them, and that's an irritation to those muscles. They don't like to be stretched, and as a result, they can be painful, but as a result, they also become weak. And sorry, got distracted there, but then you have more issues. Those muscles become weak because these become that much stronger because they're unopposed. There's nothing pulling them back. So if you're feeling tension in your mid-back, one of the best ways to address it is to make sure that your chest muscles here are adequately stretched out. So these stretches that I demonstrated, that I use myself, these are things that I work that tend to take that tension out of there and allow those muscles to work a lot better.
What he said. Oh, and Helen, I see that. Oh, Helen, be really, 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 really careful if you're just post-surgery. All right, you guys, that's it for today. Michelle says that makes so much sense. Thank you so much. Everybody's thanking you, honey.
Oh, you're welcome.
Yes, he says, oh, you're welcome. And he can come back. Anytime there's a topic or questions that you might have, he can jump back in and talk about it, from the knowledge that he's got. And all right, you guys, that's it from now. I have muscle pain on one side of my back only, upper left. He'd probably have to put his hands on your body to find out what that's about. But it sounds like there's a little bit of an imbalance with your right side. I know it's kind of funny, but it's always like opposite, right? Love it, the Liz and Dr. Jeff show. Oh, we've got so much to talk about. All right. Thank you so much for being here today. Remember, take just beautiful, exquisite care of yourself. Tune into your body, tune into your heart, tune into your emotions. If you feel the need to release, release. And I will definitely see all of you here tomorrow. And from my heart to yours, sending you all so much love. Mwah.